What's up, gamers? Welcome back to the Auto Garage YouTube channel. For the past 7 months, I've owned this Miata. It's a 1996 Mazda Miata NA, obviously, 1.8 liter 5-speed, you know all that. Basically stock, couple things done to it, nothing crazy, just normal stuff. And for the most part, I've been daily driving this car. Never has it been my only car, but it's always been the car I grab the keys to. I love driving this car much more than anything else I've driven so far. So I want to give you a rundown of what it's like daily driving this car and what it's like living with this car. It really isn't as far-fetched as it seems to daily drive a Miata, and I'm going to explain why here in a minute. So the main two drawbacks of trying to daily drive this car are, of course, features, because of how old and how low price and low budget this car was, and of course size. We're going to be talking about both those. First off, size. It's a small car. It doesn't pretend to be big. That's all it is. But how often do you need more than one seat? At least when you're 19, 20 years old. You really don't need 4 seats that often. Especially if you don't have a lot of friends. Like, I'm not even trying to flex, but if you don't have a lot of friends, it's not that important to have a big car, because 90% of the time you're driving by yourself anyway. I use this car to drive to school, to drive to work. It's not that often where I even need to bring passengers. So there really aren't drawbacks there. And when you do have passengers, more than likely they'll be able to drive. As a family car, obviously this is just a no-go. But when you're young and when you're mostly independent from responsibilities, it's not that bad in size. And if you want to come to the trunk back here, the trunk space really isn't that bad. So I have my torque wrench, a pair of shoes, my ratchet set, my longboard, and some fireworks in the trunk. And it's not even halfway filled. This is a small trunk, don't get me wrong, but how often do you fill up a normal sized trunk, an SUV trunk? You do alright, but you don't really do it often enough to where you need that vehicle every single day of the year. It's something that's nice to have every now and again, and something that you could probably borrow from a family member or a neighbor if you need to. But 99.9% of the time, this is all the trunk space I need. Because I'm not moving to and from college every day, I'm not moving furniture, I'm not using more space than this, you know? Now let's go to the inside. Again, space is pretty limited, but when you only have 2 people in the car, or just one person, there's more than enough space. And especially with the quick disconnect steering wheel, getting in and out of this thing is very easy with the top down. And speaking of the top is super easy to put up and down. You latch these right here on both sides, and in literally about 30 seconds, the top is up. Top's down just like that. Super simple. And that's the size of the car. So that's the main drawback in the size department, which again, in my case, that really doesn't matter because I don't need that much space on a day-to-day basis, like going to and from work. You don't need that much space, and for most activities, you're fine as is. Drawback number 2 is features. This car has power lock, nothing, driver assist, nothing, no technology whatsoever, bare bones. No, it doesn't even have traction control, because back in the 90s, that wasn't a law to have traction control, and it also wasn't required by law to have anti-lock brakes. So if you stomp on the brakes, they could lock up, at least in the rain. Usually they don't. Usually the brakes are small, like too small to even do that, which is a good or a bad thing, I don't know. So once you're inside, minimal features. You have heat and AC coming out of 4 vents, which is plenty. Cruise control, you know, it doesn't work, but again, if you're buying this to road trip, it is the wrong car. But if you're not buying it to road trip, it's the right car. Now the factory cup holders, I have the little tray behind me, but basically your cups sit here and they get in the way of the shifting. So your cup holders are absolutely useless. But I put on this little aftermarket cup holder in between the seats, so I can still have a cup in here. The passenger, when there is one, will have to hold their cups. So, you know, tough luck. But, I mean, I have a tachometer, I have a speedometer, and I can listen to Kevin Hart talk about whatever on Spotify, so that's really all I need on the inside. touchscreens are nice and all, but they're not really required. Especially when you're into cars to a point where you care more about how it feels and how it drives versus what it does or doesn't have. That doesn't make sense. Should we redo that? Or should I just cut it? And of course, drawback number 3 is the engine. It is reliable, the gearbox is reliable, but it doesn't make that much power. And like everything else, that's kind of annoying, but on a day-to-day basis, not a big deal. My one gripe would be the transmission. It doesn't have overdrive. So when I'm all the way in 5th gear, because it's a 5-speed, and I'm going 60 miles an hour, I'm already at 3,000 RPM. So this car doesn't do the highway very well. It actually gets pretty bad gas mileage on the highway because it is always revving so high. So driving-wise, that's the one complaint. And also some people don't like sitting really low. They'd rather sit up high and see everything. But I don't care. I think it's fun being low. It feels like a go-kart. So, I mean, let me know in the comments what you think. Would you ever daily drive a Miata? What do you think about me daily driving my Miata? I really see nothing wrong with it. Most people think you need a Toyota Highlander or an F-150, but 99% of the time you're not using the capabilities of that vehicle. So why not have something a little less practical and a little bit more fun? My name is Michael. This is an episode of Auto Garage that you're gonna like and subscribe to. I'll see you next time.